Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to September 30th, the last day of September. I'm wearing my Jim Wallace birthday gift Dodger shirt. This was the gentleman who was pitching last night, number 31. And it was quite a game. If you get a chance, you can watch this game on YouTube or someplace. It was the best baseball game that I had ever been to in my whole life. The lead changed hands several times. There were 4 home runs. It was just unbelievable. It was Dodger Stadium, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. This is the baseball that bounced off a Korean's head and hit me, and I was able to get this ball. This is one of the 3 or 4, I lost count, of foul balls that I was able to catch, and it was Korean night. So I hope you enjoyed the Korean dancing, the Korean fans. The last time I was around people of like dress was in a bump bar in Southeast Asia. But that was quite an evening of, who knew that a Korean night would be one of the best baseball games that I personally have ever witnessed. Thank you, Jim Wallace, again for this wonderful birthday gift. It was a beautiful, warm, light breeze. It was just a wonderful night of baseball. And I am grateful that I was lucky enough and Jesse was lucky enough to attend this particular baseball game. Unbelievable. So hopefully they can keep going that way. In honor of Korean night, I have a picture of a Korean. Isn't that nice? I had this framed by my friend, rest his soul, what was his name? Floyd. He was quite a colorful character. He had more than one name. Sometimes he called himself Alan. Sometimes he called himself Floyd. And I remember when he was on his deathbed or in the hospital, his sister found out that we were calling him Floyd. And she was so upset. She said, "That's not his name. That's not his name." You know, leave it to family to make somebody on their deathbed feel uncomfortable. Anyway, he was called Alan and he was called Floyd. He was called whatever he wanted to be called. He was like an aristocrat. He was something else. He drove one of those VW vans, the ones that don't go over 10 miles an hour and smoke out the back. And he would drive that around the highways and the streets. And he was quite a colorful character. Anyway, let's get to some items of interest today. This one is about baseball. Babe Ruth again. Babe Ruth is quite a figure. It's a wonder he didn't become president of the United States with his popularity. In 1927, he was the first player to hit 60 home runs in a season. 60 home runs in a season. And his record, of course, was broken in 1961 by Roger Maris. And he hit 61 home runs in a season in 1961. These glasses are terribly dirty. And that's what records are meant to be. They're meant to be broken. So Babe Ruth, 1927, he hit 60 home runs in a single game. I'm coming to you from the community center. The woman, Barbara, that usually occupies this table. Hello, Bill. I won't be long. The woman who usually occupies this table is, she's not here right now. So this was a good opportunity to be able to utilize the community center at this time. So our hats are off to Babe Ruth. And in 1955, on today's date, the 30th of September, 1955, we lost the great actor James Dean. near Salinas, California. He was 24 when he perished in his Porsche. He was born on February 8th, 1931. Three of his famous films that launched him into fame were Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, East of Eden, 1955, and Giant, 1956. In Giant, in the ballroom scene, James Dean actually got drunk to shoot the scene, and his words were so garbled and not understandable that they had another actor dub his lines for that scene. But he really wanted to really knock it out of the park, and he figured the best way to do that was actually be drunk in that particular scene. So if you haven't seen Giant, East of Eden, or Rebel Without a Cause. Rebel Without a Cause was the signature movie to describe an adolescent or a young adult, the unsureness, the anxiety, the sexual tension and uncertainty, the failed aspirations, the fear of the future, the inability to cope with society at large, adults, and even young men and women of one's own age. It was quite a textbook case of a young person struggling to enter into a world as foreign as the moon. The accident occurred on intersection of State Route 46 and State Route 41. There is a James Dean Memorial Junction sign. It's a little bit, since the road has been modified or changed since 1955. It's a little bit, it's close by, but it's not at the exact point where the accident took place. But there is a sign there today, and it's the James Dean Memorial Junction. There's that word junction again. We talked about junction in the Bear presentation, and I didn't get a chance to actually look up what the word junction means, but I can presume it's two intersecting roadways of varying degrees of length and width. And that's where it happened. He was in a 1955 Porsche 550 Spider, and it was nicknamed the Little Bastard. Before this tragic accident on today's date, he was involved in automobile racing. He was suspended from doing so by the insurance companies while making one of these films. I'm not sure which one. And then he got right back into it. He was in Long Beach. He was out doing stuff over here, and he was doing stuff over there. He was quite a proficient race car driver. He came in first place on one of them and second place on another one. One of his aspirations was to be in the Indianapolis 500, but of course that would never happen because of his premature death and his shooting schedule in the movie business. But so he loved racing, and the mechanic was from Germany. He was with three people. He was with three individuals. One was a cameraman or a photographer. The mechanic from the Porsche, a German mechanic from Porsche, and I think there was another person with him. The mechanic was following behind. No, the photographer was following behind, I think, and the mechanic was in the passenger seat. And the police report said he was going about 90 miles an hour, but a former CHP officer in 2005 article stated that he didn't believe that James Dean was going 90 miles an hour, that perhaps he was only going about 55 miles an hour, judging from the position of the wreck, the car, and James Dean's condition. So he contradicted the official report of the accident, which is always interesting. There's always going to be 2, 3, sometimes 4 sides to every story, and I'll get to that in my final presentation. Uh, the person, this accident happened at 5:45 p.m. in the afternoon. And it was caused by a Cal Poly student named Donald Turnip Seed, and this is what it is. Turnip Speed, Donald Turnip Seed, and he was 23 years old, and he was driving a 1950 Ford Tudor, and he made a left-hand turn. This is what happens more in cases, people making left-hand turns. It's one of the most dangerous maneuvers. Inexperienced drivers, young drivers, drivers under the influence, emergency vehicles, you name it. A left-hand turn at any intersection, that's where it gets dicey. Even right-hand turns for that matter, but intersections or junctions, that's where all the problems seem to occur in most motor vehicle TCs, traffic collisions, are the intersections. And sure enough, this Donald Turnip Seed was making a left-hand turn. James Dean was heading, I guess, I don't even want to say east because I'll get a lot of people saying he wasn't going east, he was going west, southeast, or something like that. So, I encourage everybody to Google it for themselves to get the right facts, or the facts that have been reported. I guess, like I had mentioned before, there are no real facts. The only people that know the real facts are the people that perish and the people that actually witnessed a given tragedy. He was not interested, this Donald, this student. He had minor injuries. He got out of his vehicle under his own power. James Dean's vehicle, I guess would call T-bone today, or hit the passenger side door of Donald's vehicle, and he remained in his vehicle trapped, and it veered off the road. I don't know if it turned over or not, but his injuries were pretty severe. He had, it's reported he had a broken neck and other fatal injuries. There was a nurse close by that said that she did feel a pulse, but it was a weak pulse, and he was declared dead at the nearby hospital. Word spread to the west and across the United States. Of course, not as fast as today, but so that was when that's how we lost James Dean. He loved racing, automobile racing, and but that's the case. If a vehicle's going much too fast and you make a left, 1 second it's clear, and the next second it's not clear because of the rate of speed. That we have a big problem with that here in LA. Street racing has taken some lives recently and caused havoc on the streets. Young people racing their vehicles. You can contribute it to these the Fast and Furious movie franchise, perhaps. It's just like any other motion picture. It really sets a mind thinking. People see a Dalmatian puppy in a Dalmatian Disney movie, and then they all go out and buy Dalmatians thinking that they can handle a Dalmatian. Dalmatians are famous for eating their own poo. So you want to think twice before you adopt or purchase a puppy that's has a pre-existing condition to eat his own poo. I don't think all Dalmatians eat their own poo, but I did hear that Dalmatians like the taste of their own defecation. But so it's the same thing with some movies. I think law enforcement or police officers have been influenced, I think, negatively by the Dirty Harry movies, Make My Day and that sort of thing. That only encourages a police officer to be somewhat more aggressive, somewhat more uncaring, and somewhat more short with the greater public. So these Hollywood movies do have a great impact on society at large. Just look at all the army or the war movies that Hollywood cranked out during the war time to get people around war and get them to back the efforts of that particular conflict, to spend money, war bonds, and to make it look sanitized and romantic and macho-like. So these movies definitely have an influence on the general public. So I think that's all I have on James Dean. He really was. The camera just loved him, and he was a great. I saw that movie, The Giant. I'll have to rewatch Rebel Without a Cause. And Sal Menuno, he was in that movie, I think, Rebel Without a Cause. I think he was knifed to death right in my apartment up on Sunset Boulevard next to Pink Dot. Somebody told me he was stabbed to death. And it was right in my carport area. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's just something that I heard that I'll just pass along. And the last thing I want to discuss is something that's real dicey to me. There's something called, on this date in 1965, the 30 September movement. And this is a story out of Indonesia back in 1965. It's about assassination, it's about kidnapping, it's about coups, it's about the CIA. And after you read it, I read it, I didn't read it word for word, I kind of skimmed it, but it was terribly confusing. You don't know who to believe. The CIA somehow was involved. The president of Jakarta was involved. It was a coup with army officers and communist elements. Then there's another train of thought that it was that the president was in on the coup. Sometimes they'll have fake coups just to get what they want. It's just terribly, terribly confusing to me. And that's why I'm not going to go into it, because it'll just set me up for a barrage of people taking me to task for saying the wrong thing or the incorrect thing. So all I'm going to say is, if you want to Google something tonight on your laptop or on your computer, look up Wikipedia. And Wikipedia, by the way, is not. I thought Wikipedia was the gospel or the Bible, but even that is influenced by different people's political ways, political views. So you really, it's very, very hard to get the truth about anything. And I guess I'm just trying to realizing that at my age, which is disheartening. I guess that's why we love sports so much. You can't not tell the truth what happened on that field. And everybody on that field is qualified to be on that field. There's no nepotism. There's no politics. Nobody gets on an NFL gridiron or a baseball diamond or a soccer field or a tennis court or a golf tournament. Nobody gets on there for any one or other reason that they are great at what they do. And the score is not up to determination. Unlike boxing, that can be terribly toxic in its outcome as well. But I guess that's why we like sports. You just know what you're seeing is really what you're seeing, and nobody can argue out of what you're seeing. Anyway, so I'll say it again so you remember. 30 September movement. 30, the number 30, September movement. 1965. And see if you can't read it and figure it out. Who were the bad guys? Who were the good guys? What role the CIA had in it? To this day, the CIA is deeply involved in countries and administrations and governments all over the world. This stuff just doesn't stop. As you all know, the days of John F. Kennedy are over and have been over for quite some time. So that's it. I'm going to close it at that. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I didn't talk too much. It's nice to be in the community center. I haven't presented a presentation in the community center. So our hats are off to Babe Ruth, 60 home runs in a season in 1927, and his record was broke in 1961 by hitting 60 home runs, Roger Maris. And of course, the loss of James Dean in a horrific traffic accident near Salinas, California. And I'll say this once more so you can look on your maps, your Google Maps or your atlases or whatever you have. I have a lot of maps. I'll give you the exact location that it's giving me. The intersection of State Route 46 and State Route 41. The intersection of State Route 46 and State Route 41. And that's near Salinas, California, in a place called, and I'm going to spell this one, Cholame. Cholame, California. So there you go. You got a little something you want to do. You get bored. You're sick of watching Ford F-100, 150 commercials. And you're sick and tired of watching BMW commercials. And tired of watching how to get a lower price on your insurance commercials. And if you got a wire mesh installed that may be leaking, call the law firm of Leaky Wire Mesh. If you're getting sick of all that, just get on your laptop and you can find a world of information you never knew was available to you. And I find it that's what keeps me up late at night a lot of times, just reading about stuff that you never knew till you know. And then after you read it, you still don't know. Have a great day. Tomorrow's Friday. Oh, it's 73 degrees here today in Redondo Beach, California. So I hope the weather is beautiful where you are as well. Keep up the good work. And remember, we all have choices. The only one who can make one for you is you.